Welcome back, everybody, to Satoshi Sunday. This is Satoshi Sunday number 9, which means we've kept this segment going for about 9 weeks, which is an insane amount of time. But you guys have really been loving this segment. So thank you for all of the amazing things that you were saying in the comments. And this is going to keep going. I see absolutely no reason to stop this. So Dad is going to continue to be a recurring guest. Today, we're going to be talking about AI agents in a little more detail. So this video is going to be a part 2 to the one that we put out last week, where we discussed what AI agents were, what you can use them for, what they're good at, what they're not good at, and things like that. Today, we're going to be diving deep into Openclaw and how to set up your own Openclaw and the things that you can use this incredible tool for. So without further ado, Dad, welcome back to Orange Peel. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, kiddo. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, getting off a longer day of classes, but we are ready to roll, ready to talk about some AI, ready to talk about Sandy and Patrick. So let's just get right into it. Dad, why don't you kick us off? What is Openclaw, this thing that we've been hearing all about on Twitter lately?
Sure. I think if I were to define Openclaw in simplest words, Openclaw is an orchestration engine that can basically govern your AI agents and tell them what to do, when, and how to operate and whatnot. Right? Like we spoke last time with ChatGPT and all, when they came, it was hard to manage the context, when to start a new chat, when to continue in the same chat. How do you, avoid mixing things up? Now you can do all of that with Openclaw. Right? It's all super, super easy, super, super simple. And this is the first time, like we said last week when we chatted about this, with the agentic frameworks and Openclaw, now you have made AI autonomous. AI can do things on its own. We can walk through a couple of examples, and I'll show you some configs. I'll show you the setup that we have. We can walk through that. But before we go there, what do you want to know? Like, where do you want to start?
What differentiates Openclaw from other chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, things like this?
So Openclaw is not a chatbot.
Okay.
As I said, Openclaw is an orchestration engine. Behind the scenes, it needs to use an AI model, be it OpenAI, Claude, Gemini, any
Guess
of the open
like,
source.
I
Right?
guess a better way to phrase that question is, what is the difference between using said orchestration engine versus just going directly to chatgpt.com and then typing in what you want from it?
The fact of the autonomy that we talked about, that doesn't happen in ChatGPT. Like, I have to go and ask something. It doesn't tell me It doesn't tell me anything automatic, right?
Mhm.
I'll see if I can find something on my laptop that was very interesting that happened today. You know what? I have to take a screenshot from my phone. I'll share it on the screen in a minute. But you keep talking and tell me about what you're thinking.
Well, okay. So from what I understand with Openclaw and kind of some of the notes that I've written down here as well, is it's kind of like it's an open source, it's a self-hosted AI agent framework, right? It's something that you run locally on your hardware, run it on your Mac Mini, whatever old laptop you have kind of lying around. And we spoke a little bit about this last week as well. Um, from what I understand, you can connect it to any kind of messaging app that you want. So you have it set up on Telegram, you have it set up on our Discord, and it has memory, which I think this is some of the thing that differentiates it from being like, that keeps it being an autonomous agent is it has memory. You are sharing your
Can you
screen now.
see my screen?
Yes, I can. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's really small, so
So
that's my fault.
this is something that happened during the day. I was doing some work, and Patrick decided to ping me on Telegram and said, "Hey, major items worth pinging. There is escalation happening. Reuters is reporting, shipping through Gulf of Strait of Hormuz has come to close standstill. Iran stands, and stands in oil. Oil is reportedly going above $100. AI-driven layoffs, Atlassian cutting 10%, 1,600 roles. Like this was, I did not ask for it. I was doing something while Patrick was kind of scouring through the internet and what's happening. And when he saw like, oh, this is something that I'm interested in, he basically pinged me on Telegram and said, hey, and see, this is the major items worth pinging. Right? This was autonomous. This was pushed to me. I did not ask for it.
Yeah. Have you been talking to Patrick about major, like, world events or asking it to give you news updates, or is this kind of entirely out of the
So
blue?
this is something that I set up as part of my daily morning brief.
Okay.
And when this Iran escalation started, I basically said, hey, you need to tell me, when these things happen. And then it basically said, I basically configured it, for certain things. I want it to become like a news feed. For certain things, I want it to, ping me only when something major happened. Like, for example, I have some alerts on Openclaw or Patrick um, on Bitcoin's price, right? So if Bitcoin price moves more than 2% in 24 hours or more than 1% in an hour, it pings me and said, hey, price is moving. You wanted to know, right? I'll show you a couple more examples in a minute. Like I'll show you one or two of my morning briefs that I get, if it's easy to find. Like I spend so much time with Patrick every day. It's very hard to find those morning briefs now.
I want to get into the importance of running the kind of not the importance of why it's cool to actually be able to run this on your machine instead of hosting it in the cloud somewhere, but I'm not quite sure how to phrase that line of questioning.
Okay. Um, I think what basically you're asking for is what are the security threats,
Yeah.
like, or security holes. Um, the most important thing that I would say here is, remember last time I was saying, do not install Openclaw on your main computer, right? I would, there are people who are basically, giving it access to their Gmail, their WhatsApp, their iMessage and whatnot. I'm not
Mhm.
going to do that,
Mhm.
right? For me, like when I created this bot, I didn't use WhatsApp. I did not use iMessage. I simply said, okay, Telegram, I can create a bot, right? And then I basically invite the bot to talk to me, right? So bot doesn't have access to my messages. It only has access to the conversation I had with the bot, right? Same thing I did with Discord, right? If I want to try out the Gmail aspect, but I am not going to give access to my Gmail to Claude,
Mhm.
to OpenClaw rather, not just Claude. I would rather create a email address for OpenClaw and say, this is your email. And when I need something analyzed, I can forward those emails. And if that works, I can create rules in my Gmail and say, if email comes from this, forward it to OpenClaw. Let OpenClaw analyze it, draft a response, send it to me on Discord, and then I can copy paste. Before I go to take another leap where I can basically say, hey, I will CC OpenClaw, and then OpenClaw can respond just like you would do in an assistant, right? So there are those kind of things that still need to be figured out. Don't forget, this is a fairly new piece of code, still has a lot of security vulnerabilities.
Mhm.
And this system is very powerful. And because the kind of access you give it to this system, if you put it on the cloud, you're opening up your, sort of the attack vector in terms of, who all can try to reach you and, do a data breach and extract your data and whatnot. That's one part. The other part is If other people can get access to it, they could start hammering it, and you end up paying a large bill because of the API calls and whatnot. Right? So like lot of those kind of things are there, which are worth being mindful of.
So, because you run this locally, no, like, Openclaw is the company itself, it doesn't have access to how you're using it, right? All the data is kinda your own?
The data that you're sharing is only sharing with the whatever the model you're using in the back.
Right.
That you would have
Okay,
done
so
anyway if you went to ChatGPT.
yeah. Yeah, you would be
This is an
sharing it with
open source
ChatGPT.
software. It's available on GitHub.
Yep.
You can go and look at the code and see what this is doing.
Yeah.
So
I'm just
there's
trying to
nobody collecting the
understand,
data.
by
Yeah.
giving your Openclaw, like, I guess, bot, whatever, access to, your personal stuff, like, who is actually getting that?
I believe you can see my Discord screen.
Yeah, I see your Discord.
Right. So this is the morning brief that I got this morning.
Okay.
So you see, I have these sections. I said, okay, tell me about Bitcoin and crypto.
Mhm.
Tell me about what's happening in the markets and macro. Tell me what's happening in geopolitics, and tell me what's happening in AI.
Mhm.
Right. So every morning it goes, searches through, all the internet and whatnot, and find the most relevant things that happened. Creates a small list, curated list, and pushes that to me. Now, what this does to me in like literally 30 seconds, I get a sense what happened overnight. And if I'm curious about something, I can go start digging into that. Otherwise, in the morning, I would have to remember to go to ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini or something, or go to Google like we used to do back in the day, or people would
Mhm.
be going to New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and whatnot, and everybody have different stories, not everything combined. Right? So that's like this is the starting point for me, and everything kind of is downstream from here. Right?
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I use mine for morning briefs too, but mine look very different. It's kind of like, these are the classes you have today. These are where your interview schedule is like. Here's your to-do list. But it's interesting because it definitely makes getting these, daily repetitive tasks automated so much easier, because obviously you can go in and you can set up a cron job for yourself, but how many people really know how to do that? Right.
So here is the thing, right? This is where because you brought this up, this is interesting. You and I, we use the same instance of Openclaw, right? So the way it works is Patrick is essentially the orchestrator or the brain of everything. And based on who's talking to Patrick or what is being asked to Patrick, it knows which agent should it pass on the task to,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
So because I'm
And
talking to it, it goes to
yes,
Sandy.
correct. And then we can walk through that setup. So maybe we should just drill down into the setup and how things go and whatnot. And I
Yeah.
can kind of walk through some screens, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let me share my screen. Can you see the screen? You might see a bunch of things here. I'll walk through
Mhm.
all of them in a minute, right? So the first step first, if you're trying to install Openclaw, like as you can see, I'm working on a Mac, but I have not installed Openclaw on my Mac. Openclaw for me is running on a small, tiny PC that runs in my home lab somewhere in the back over there. It runs Ubuntu. It's not a Mac machine. It's a Linux machine, very tiny machine. And this is all this machine does. It's a bare bone Ubuntu installation. On top, there's Openclaw. And then I've created a couple of tools. I will show one with Patrick today. But assuming you have a machine that you can start with, this is very easy to install. Just sing one line installation. Like you go to openclaw.ai. As you can see in this browser, you copy this command and just run it on your command prompt. Now I'm not going to run it right now because I've already installed it, right? But this does it all. This kind of, does the whole setup, installing everything you need. And then the most important thing is you have to run Openclaw onboard. Oh, sorry. Come on. Yeah. No. There you go. Right. So since I've already configured it, it's going to show me some things already set up. So I'm not going to change those, but it gives you the idea. First, it gives you a big warning, security warning. Please read. It's a hobby project, still in beta. Not everything will be working as expected. A bad prompt can trick you into doing unsafe things. That's the reason that you should not install it on your main computer. Right? You can literally tell it to go wipe out the drive and it might actually do it. And then you said, oh, where did my data go? Right? So don't do that. Right? So here I'm saying I understand this is personal by default. Shared multi-user code requires lockdown, blah, blah, blah. Since we are running it in a small family setup, so I don't need to go into a lot of lockdown things. Because we are not exposing it to any external person from outside of our family, right? So then it says onboarding mode, quick start or manual. We're going to go with quick start. I go here. It basically says, because I've configured already, you see, this is the workspace. This is the model default that I have used. Everything is local. I'm not exposing it to the internet. Even to the point, even the gateway cannot be accessed outside of this computer.
Mhm.
So when I need to access it from my laptop, I have to run a SSH tunnel. And the whole idea is I don't want random, like if anybody's visiting our house, they just open up this browser and they can start doing things. No. Right? So I'm not gonna. I will walk through this, but I'm not gonna change. So when you go to configure, it says which model you're using. As I said, we are using OpenAI. You can use Anthropic or Olama or Minimax or whatever, whichever one you feel like. I'm gonna skip for now because we are already configured. Then it's like, okay, if you want, once you configure a provider, you can also go and look for specific models. Like, for example, if you go to OpenAI, you can pick up any of these models. Right. So there's GPT-4, GPT-4 5.4 Pro. So maybe we can update to this one because we already have GPT. I'm going to do that. Right. We are configured with Telegram. I'm not doing WhatsApp because it requires me to link my WhatsApp to it, and I'm not giving access to Openclaw to my WhatsApp. We have already configured Discord. We can configure other kind of tools, but for us, 2 tools are more than enough. So I'm not going to bother. But you can, like, if anybody's installing, they can choose which are more relevant to them. Like, for example, you have iMessage, you have Nostr. You can configure whatever tools are that work better for you. Like for us, Telegram and Discord work well. Right? We already have Brave Search there. So I have a Brave Search API key. If you have Gemini, you can use Google Search or whatever, Perplexity Search or whatnot. We have configured Brave Search, so I'm going to skip it. I'm not going to configure any skills because I don't want many skills to be installed here. By whatever tools I need, I've created myself. So I'm going to skip that. I'm going to skip the hooks per minute. And then it says you have to restart the gateway. We don't need to because we actually should because we just changed the model. Let's see what happens. If we're changing things on the fly, we'll see what happens. Like, as you can see, gateway is restarted, checking the gateway health. We don't need to do it in the UI. We'll do this later. We are done. So we are done on the prompt here, right? Now we're going to come to so this is the gateway's portal. Remember, I was telling you I have not opened it to access even outside of the machine. So I'm right now have a tunnel between my computer that I'm working on and that
the
server
next
in the
one.
background. So once you look at that, it will say, okay, this is the gateway access, WebSocket URL, gateway token, blah, blah, blah. Status is okay. It's only been up for 20 seconds because we just restarted it. You saw? 4 instances, 47 sessions, blah, blah, blah. In channels, you can see what channels are configured. So we've configured Telegram, we've configured Discord. Um, you have all different types of connected instances. This is the main server itself. This is the control UI that I have here. There's one control AI, UI that was running on the computer upstairs when I was working in the morning there. Sessions. This basically has all the sessions that are connected right now. Usage is the important part. Like if you look at it, 348 messages in like today itself, like, on this platform in family of like practically three of us, right? Models, majority is GPT 5.2. As I've already told you earlier, we have a 2.5 Flash as backup. We also have a Pro Gemini 3 Pro preview. Right? So this is all information about that. How many tokens have we used? What is the average cost?
It's a
Blah,
lot
blah.
of tokens.
A lot of tokens, but
It's
cost
a
per
lot of
message
tokens.
is like
Yeah.
5 cents, a total $18.50, right?
Yeah.
So if you were to basically say last 30 days, we would have spent about $110,
Okay. For, yeah, like
right?
3 of us using it.
Correct. But if somebody got access to it and they started bombarding it, this $110 would look like $1,000,
Yeah.
$10,000.
$10,000. You'd have to be talking to it all day, every day
No,
for it
it's,
to
you're
be.
forgetting. I could
It's
be giving
beyond
it
just
such
chats. You could be
huge
telling it stuff
tasks,
to do. Yep.
right? Like
Like what?
when I use in professional settings, I have spent tens of thousands, hundreds of $1,000s on tokens in a month,
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes even $1 million,
Yeah. I guess you can
right?
come up with a
$1
few
million.
use cases where it would come up to that high.
It can, right? So, coming here to the cron jobs. So this is what basically sends information to us. So we have your evening review, my morning review brief, your daily briefing, my morning brief for weekend is separate than weekdays. And then you have your others and blah, blah, blah. Then we have these agents. So this is what Patrick is farming out its work to. So this Patrick, which is the main, then we have Crabs. This is essentially my coding agent,
Yeah.
right?
I have to say it's very
Uh,
ironic that we've set Patrick to be the brains of the bunch.
it was on purpose.
Pretty
It was on
counterintuitive.
purpose. Yeah. Right. So like if you look at Patrick uses OpenAI GPT 5.2, Crabs is my coding agent, uses 5.3 codex. Right. Larry, what was Larry for? I'm forgetting what Larry was for. I have to remember. So this Muscle Bob is all about talking about fitness, health, whatnot. So I basically said, okay, what is the most counterintuitive name there? So SpongeBob, Muscle Bob, so play on words. Right. Neo is my research agent, and then Plankton is marketing. Sandy is yours. SpongeBob is Vivan's. Squidward is my writer, right? And Warren is my financial agent, right? So
Warren Buffett.
these are all the agents that we have running. So we all talk to Patrick by default. Like
Yeah.
we have only one bot.
Yeah.
We all are sending message to Patrick, but Patrick is looking at that and saying, oh, because Nicki sent a message, and for Nicki the default is Sandy. The message is going to go to Sandy, and then it can farm out from there. Or if it needs to do coding, it might say, okay, I'm going to send it to Krabs for coding.
Okay.
Yeah? You
Okay.
with me?
So yes, and this prevents Patrick from, I guess, getting overwhelmed with all the tasks.
Correct. And another thing is, like, if you look at all these agents, they have these bunch of different files.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if you look at Sandy, I asked Patrick today to ping you
Yeah.
to basically set this up properly, because all these
Yes.
files are the ones that basically tell it to do certain things at certain time and
Right.
keep its content, right? So Agents is its system prompt, what is your role? Who are you? How should you operate? Right. Then soul is essentially you're trying to give it a persona or a sense of purpose, right? Like everybody has a soul, every living person has a soul. So that's the idea here. Then tools, what sort of tools it has access to? Identity is like you give it an identity. In your case, this bot knows its identity is Sandy.
Mhm.
Maybe her pronouns are she, her. And then, you can go on, what kind of identity it has. She's more, chirpy or more, jolly by nature, or more serious, professional versus casual, all that stuff. Uh, and then you have a user. This is to basically tell about you. So, for example, it says, user is Nicki, time zone confirm if you're not sure, preferences, want short, whatever, whatever preferences you have
Mhm.
told her, and you can give it as much detail as you want. The more
Yeah.
detail you give, the better its responses start becoming for you. But now you're basically saying this data is not polluting Patrick,
Mhm.
right? Similarly, each one of them, like, so if you look at SpongeBob, which is our agent for Vivan, and Vivan has not set up anything other than user.md because that gets set up when I created
Yeah.
SpongeBob. But the more information you give, the more persona you create here
Yeah.
the better these agents will start serving you.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Just out of curiosity, can we see what Patrick has in the files?
Yeah. So if you go to this, the agent is where this whole thing is.
Mhm.
Your workspace, first run, bootstrap MD exists, blah blah blah. Read
Yeah.
memory and of that date. If main session do something, you make a so all the stuff that we used to do with chat management,
Yeah.
remember, we were taking the load. Here we are basically saying whenever you
Patrick did
start, you
it.
start fresh and then go pick up the memory from last day,
Okay. Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
you have memory.md is its long-term memory where it is storing things like
Mhm.
you could have had a conversation with it 5 months ago. And then it was, you can basically refer, hey, a few months ago we talked about this, and it can go back and search and say, yeah, we talked about this. This is what the conversation was. Right? Think of it like the journals that like, a lot of people write. They can go back to the journal on a specific day and say, yeah, I was doing this that day.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's that
Yeah,
kind of
actually,
stuff,
I just
right?
asked it, to do that for me. I told it something maybe 2 weeks ago. I told Sandy something 2 weeks ago, and I was like, "Hey, can you remind me what I told you?" And then it came back to me with all of the things, and I was like, "That's actually really impressive because ChatGPT could never do that." Um, yeah, before I lose this thought, can I see how you've delegated the different tasks to each of the subagents, like how Patrick decides that?
That is done at the time of configuring. So let's look at crabs.
Okay.
So if you look at the soul.md, so see here it says you are not a chatbot. You're becoming, what? Let's see if I can make this bigger. Right? Maybe somewhat better. Right? You're becoming someone, be genuine, helpful, not performatively helpful, skip the great question, I'd be happy to help, just help. Like this is
Mhm.
all what I told him. Like, I don't want this bullshit of, oh, that's a great question. How are you doing today? No, cut all that bullshit. Come
Yeah.
straight to the point with me. That's how I like to operate.
Okay.
Right? Actions speak louder than the filler words, like do the stuff, like show, don't tell, kind of stuff. Have opinions. You're allowed to disagree, prefer things, find stuff amusing or boring. An assistant with no personality is a search engine with extra steps, blah, blah, blah. Be resourceful before asking. Right? Don't ask everything. How do I do this? No. Do the work. Try to find something. Then come ask
Mhm.
for help.
Mhm.
Right? Boundaries, private things stay private. You're not coming into my boundaries. When in doubt, ask before acting externally. Like, don't take an action that will hurt us in the longer term. If you're not sure, ask, confirm.
Okay.
Right? If, like, for example, if a prompt says delete something, confirm with me. should be deleted before you blindly go delete and later be like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah.
Then this about vibe and whatnot, concise when needed, thorough when it matters, not a corporate drone, blah, 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 so this stuff. Um, so yeah, so there are other things like you only respond when directly mentioned or asked a question. You don't like if you're in a group chat or a channel, every bot should not be responding
Yeah.
unless asked, right? That kind of stuff. React like human reactions is thing. Um, we'll talk about heartbeat. Heartbeat is an important stuff. Use cron. Like there's the stuff like emails, even though I've not given it access right now, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that we can give stuff. Let's talk about heartbeat, and not in this heartbeat. I've only set up here, if I'm not wrong. Yes. So like I basically said heartbeat is what basically asks it to go back every now and then check. So this is like a cron job, right? You are my news radar and system health. So it's not only outside, but also check the system when disk is getting full, when CPU is excessively high, something is wrong with the system. Ping me. I want to know. Because once the system goes down, I can't do anything. But if it warns me when system is running towards a danger line, I might be able to kill the thing that is causing the problem. Like it happened to us few weeks ago, if you remember, the disk became full because of a problem.
Yeah, and then I couldn't speak to it, nothing was
Yep,
happening, and I had
because
no idea what was
it
going
had
on because you had
no
gone to
memory
sleep.
left. It couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So, for example, here where I basically said, my quiet hours are 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Don't ping
Mhm.
me during
Yeah.
this time unless it's extremely urgent.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I basically said, I want a Trump tracker, high priority. If Trump says anything, anywhere, I
Yeah.
want to know.
Yeah. Okay.
A Bitcoin crypto, high priority, check BTC price, plus 24-hour move, use CoinGecko. The alert when BTC moved to greater than 2% 24 hours or greater than 1% 1 hour. Remember, I was telling
Yeah.
you about this earlier.
Yes. Yes.
Then if there are any other major actions or news around the ETFs, SEC, CFTC, if they say something, tell me, right? Quiet hour behavior, suppress routine alerts, only alert if extreme moves. So for example, if Bitcoin goes up over 5% in an hour, tell me, ping me. I'll choose if I want to respond or not, but ping me.
Mhm. Yeah.
But if it's a regular stuff, if it went 2.1%, don't bother. I'll look at it in the morning. And you can define when you're configuring it, you can say what are your rules and how you want to set it up. Right? Similar thing with AI improvements. I want to know when major model releases, major chip launches, or infra announcements. NVIDIA, AMD, Intel does anything. Layoffs. Remember, I showed you the picture earlier.
Yeah.
Because of this line, I got notified about layoffs from Atlassian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Then macroeconomic, CPI, PC, jobs, whenever this happened, oil spikes. We saw all those oil news.
Yeah. Yep.
Iran war, Middle East. So this is how, and I can add more things as I want to remove things. So for example, if in a few weeks Iran, tension eases and this thing, start normalizing, I'll remove
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
Won't matter
Okay.
anymore,
So,
right?
kind of a follow-up question. Say I want to go in and I want to say some things like this. I don't have access to this server, this thing that you're working on, right? But can I go in and talk to Sandy directly just in my Discord and be like, "Hey, update me on this, 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 and this."
You can basically go to Sandy and say, "Hey, I want that was the prompt that it reached out to you. Basically, say
Yes,
I need
yeah.
to set up your configs to better serve me.
Mhm.
So walk me through each one of these. Help me write these. A lot of these are written with help of
Okay.
Patrick. I didn't write them. I basically
Okay.
said, I want this. Ask me questions. Go do this
Yeah.
conversation. Show me what the file would look like. Okay, this. Then you're gonna, yeah, I like it, and then it will save it for
Mhm.
you.
Okay, sweet.
So try it. I believe it should work for you. If it doesn't, it might be some configuration issue, and we can figure it out.
Okay, sweet. I will try that. later
And
tonight then.
I'll be very honest with everybody who's watching it. I am not an expert. I am learning on the go as well. Right? I would not
Yeah.
claim I know everything about Openclaw, but I am learning. I have fiddled a little bit in last couple of weeks, and I'm having a lot of fun. Right? So that's that. There are few skills that are useful. There are a bunch of skills that you can. So there are some inbuilt skills that you can enable. Like you can give Openclaw access to passwords, its own password, and it can use one password like normal humans would. But you can create one password account for Openclaw and save the password it needs access to, and then Openclaw can go there. It can get access to Apple Notes, Apple Reminders, a lot of other stuff. I have added a few things. I haven't dealt into this coding agent because I was using Codex from OpenAI. I'll have to play with it. I have to see if this is useful. Right? You can actually configure it with your GitHub if you really want, and a lot of other stuff so it can do. You can do iMessage. I'm not touching it. You can also ask it to create images using Nano Banana Pro if you have the API key and whatnot.
Mhm.
If anybody I said earlier, I'm hesitant to give these things a lot of API keys because I don't know how much they'll use and I don't want to be surprised by the bills. So I'm slowly learning, slowly figuring out what I want to give access to, what I don't want to give access to.
Yeah, learn from other people on the internet. There's enough horror stories
Correct.
out there for you
Correct.
guys to be careful now.
Yep, yep. And so and then you can create your own skills too. There's a skill creator, and then things go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Right. Let's jump into our friend Patrick.
Mhm.
And while we do the conversation, I want to basically, give it a prompt, and then we'll keep the conversation. And this, what it will do. And so basically, what I'm going to ask if it is a simple prompt. Where what I'm saying is research today's biggest AI and crypto stories. Draft a 90-second sort of a cold open 5-bullet talking points script for me. Use credible sources and include links. Like, don't give me garbage. Right? What it's going to do in the background is going to do web searches, fetch RSS, and come back with the prompt. And then
Mhm.
we'll see, how we go forward. Right? So I'm going to
Yeah.
send this, and
Sorry,
you
just
can see,
1 second.
yeah. So like as I was saying, I gave that simple prompt. It basically did all the research, came back with a 90-second code start, gave me a script. It talked about 5-bullet talking points, AI infra wheel, NVIDIA, blah, 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 blah. And what I can do is, without it losing context, I could basically simply say, now rewrite this into my X voice. Now somebody might say, how does it know your X voice? So what I did was I essentially downloaded all my XR data. So I went to X and said, export my data. It gave me a data archive. It downloaded it, dumped it into the system, and asked it to crawl through it. Like, these are all my tweets, all my replies, read through them, see how I write, and go from there. So I'm going to give it a follow-up and see what it comes back with. And imagine trying to simulate this thing in a ChatGPT kind of environment.
Mhm.
How would you give access to your X feed? You
Yeah,
can't.
it can't crawl the internet. I mean, it can try, but X doesn't allow it,
It
so
can
it's a
crawl
whole
the
thing.
internet.
Yeah.
X usually blocks
Yeah.
the crawling, right? Here it has 24/7 access up to a certain date that when I downloaded the data. And that data is enough. So think of it like I'm training this model on my voice. And it comes back with a tweet for me, right? So that's that. And I'm going to show you a very simple thing. So I created a covered call engine which calculates the profitability of a covered call, or
Okay.
if something of that sort, right?
Yeah.
So, the prompt I'm going to give it is, give me a covered call yield for Tesla at 0.2 delta and 45 DDA. Hit my
Okay.
local API and return the numbers
Okay.
instantly.
Great. What does this mean?
I will tell you.
Okay.
Right? Okay, while this is doing it. So what this means is, Tesla, Tesla is a stock.
Yeah. Yes, I know
Uh,
Tesla's a stock, Dad.
right. So delta, theta, gamma, vega are few of the Greeks in options,
Okay.
right? Delta essentially tells you how much the price of option will move for every 1 unit of price movement in the underlying stock.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? In this case, so for example, we said 45, so the nearest is 42, which is 424. Spot price is 395, strike price 448. This won't be that price, probably would be 450, right? So let's say if I sell a call option at 450 for this date, the delta is 0.2. What does this mean? If Tesla stock goes up by $1, the price of this option will increase by 20 cents.
Mm-hmm.
If the price of Tesla goes down by $1, the price of this option would drop by 20 cents. In that simplest what delta means. Delta changes with a lot of other things, but that's just understanding of how the price of underlying moves, then how the price of related option contract would move.
Yeah. Okay.
So what this is basically telling me is, if I were to sell this, I could make about 9% in a year selling this kind of option, right?
Wow.
About 1.5% on an average year, but roughly it will be 9%, because I'm selling 45 days out. Now I can change this. I could say I want to sell not a 0.2, but 0.3 delta. And I don't want it 45 days to expiration, which means I don't want something that expires 45 days from now. I want to sell something which expires 30 days from now. So what you'll notice is my yield will go up, but so will my risk. I have not added risk to my calculator yet, right? But this is the thing I'm trying to say is, I created a tool, I plugged it into this, and now I can access this tool anywhere. Right. So as you can see, when I said 45 delta, the expiration date was 424. Now expiration date is 410. Right. The price was close to 450. Now it's close to 420.
Mm-hmm.
My yield went to 18.5% instead of 9%, because my option is more risky because I'm selling very close to what the price is right now. I'm more close to
Yeah.
this price right now than in the other case. So the risk is high. Make sense? Right. Again, this lot of this data is still work in progress. I'm not trying to say that this is all fantastic, but I'm just trying to showcase the capabilities are endless.
Yeah.
You can build anything and hook it up to your agent, and your agent can call that thing and whatnot. Like, essentially what it is doing is, it's creating taking my sentence, converting that into a REST API, making that post call, the JSON comes back, converting into a text and giving it back to me.
Yeah, it's interesting to see just how far the uses for this can go, because I'm comparing what you're doing to how I use it, and I'd say like I use AI a little bit more advanced than the average person, but nothing on this level. So I think I need to up
And just
my
so you know,
AI literacy.
the calculator behind it was coded by
Yeah,
crabs,
yeah.
because I
So that's
told what
pretty
I
cool.
wanted and I
Yep,
brainstormed,
yep.
right? And I think I can see if I can find that somewhere here. Uh,
Oh, there you can see all our little spaces.
yeah. Yeah, so you see, repo is initialized, blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. So here I've been telling, hey, it's a fast API. Interactive docs are here, so I can show you what the docs would look like, right? So if I right, so this is the API that's calling. The documentation was created by that. I can do a covered call batch and whatnot. So I can do a bunch of different things. The point
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to make here is this was all coded in less than 30 minutes with help of agents by just talking to them on my phone,
Yeah. On your phone too. That's incredible.
right?
Yeah.
And one thing I haven't been able to figure out yet that I need to figure out is I cannot, like, when I send a voice message through Discord, battery can't read it. It can't understand it. I have to fix that. I have to
Mm-hmm.
find what's going on. I think it's something to do with Discord and how Openclaw interact. But once I cross that bridge, then this
You'll be
becomes
unstoppable.
this will be like I
Yeah.
can code, I can build things while I'm walking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. I've been talking a lot. I'm gonna stop the screen share. I'll let you ask any question that you have.
I mean, no, I mean, this is just really useful to see, right? Because I've been kind of wondering how you went about setting this up as well. Because as I mentioned earlier, I really don't have access to any of this stuff.
And help you set it up if
Okay.
you're missing something.
Then I think in terms of walkthrough, that's everything I wanted to go through. You gave pretty good demos of what you use it for, so I don't think there's really a need for me to do the same thing because what I can show is like it's really great for when I go to class and I tell it to do something and then I come back and there's like a whole content plan. Okay. I want to set up my soul, memory tools, heartbeat, all those assistant files that Dad was talking about earlier. So I'm going to be DMing Patrick to get that set up. So let's see what it says. This is actually really good because not only is it a walkthrough for the audience, Dad, but it's also getting me to fix my setup. So 10 out of 10 on this episode, I think.
I just wish OpenAI performed faster. See, it gave you all
Yeah.
the things. Now
All
you can
right.
review these files and you can say, okay, I like this, I don't like this, change this.
Mhm.
Or if you don't understand, you can say, what is this doing? Explain it to me.
Mhm.
I don't like this way. I would rather do it that way. Tell it
Okay.
exactly. You can tell it what questions not to ask, what
Yeah.
things to confirm with you every time.
Mhm.
Right. So for example, if it's ready to go, like if it's deleting anything in your Obsidian, you can say, hey, before you delete anything in Obsidian, confirm with me and require my
Yep.
explicit approval.
Yes.
Right. So once you set these things in here, it won't do it.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so let me just tell it a few things. It's got these questions here, so I guess we can just go ahead and answer that. And then I'll have a read through the rest of that as well. But just to give a bit of an overview, I'm an AEDT and I guess I don't want to be pinged between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. That's bedtime. And then top 3 things that I want the assistant to handle. For me, this is going to be orange peel, obviously content planning, reaching out to people for interviews, finding people to bring on for interviews, all things to do with this channel. And then also college slash unique like coursework management, things like that. And then the last thing, I guess, is I want to stay updated on what's going on in the world, but obviously I only have a very few like areas of interest and I don't have time to be scouring the internet. So I'm just going to say world news plus events. And the third one, ask before doing X. Okay, so I don't want anything being gone from my Obsidian because that would be so disastrous if like I asked Andy to do something and then I went in and all my notes for like computer systems are just gone. That would be awful. So ask
Or simply
before,
say, never delete anything, always create a new.
okay, never delete anything, always create a new note with the changes you intend to make, and then inside the Sandy's inbox folder, because I also have that separated. Right here, I've got this folder for Sandy's inbox where we did a little sync test. And this is great because this
Or you
just,
can simply say, hey, do not touch anything outside this folder.
but I would like it to go back and at least be able to read those.
You can give it read, but say, do not make
Okay.
any changes. Like, do not
Do
edit
not
anything.
make any
You can
changes
read them, but
to
don't change them.
outside outside Sandy's inbox in my Obsidian. You may read these notes, but never edit them.
So I think the right way to think about this is, imagine you had a trainee or an assistant, a human.
Mm-hmm.
How would you tell them explicitly what they can and they cannot do?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? Some things are out of reach. So they're out
Yeah.
of reach. Never, 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 never.
Yeah.
Some things they can look through, but they can't touch.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And some
I
things they
also
can't
had
even, and
never
something they have full freedom to. Right? So
delete any notes. I will say anything from my Obsidian because I've got audio recordings and images and everything in there that might not be notes specifically. So anything from Obsidian. It's got tailored copy paste photo versions of those 5 agent markdown files that my dad was showing you guys earlier. So in Soul, it just says, you are Sandy, Nicki's chirpy, funny operator with strict accountability. The prime direction is to make me faster, calmer, and consistently on track with minimal noise. So Orange Peel support, college uni coursework, world news and events, and health routine support. That's just weekly gym day accountability, letting me know when my push-pull legs is. Things like that. Non-negotiable rules. So I said, if anything is ambiguous, deadline, time zone requirements, ask one tight question. Don't invent facts, quotes, or citations. Ask before sending messages, emails, DMs, posting publicly, spending money, changing configs. And then the A and B are things that Dad set up with Patrick directly.
I think
But C is
these are
something.
set up by default. Like when you
Yeah.
do so,
Yeah.
this whoever is the creator, Stan,
Okay,
essentially,
sweet.
he set it up so it
Yeah.
doesn't start going out and swiping your credit card and whatnot.
Okay. That's really great. Well, I wouldn't know why you would give Openclaw access to your credit card right now anyway. I personally
But
wouldn't.
people could do a lot of things. Like for example,
That's fair.
today, you can give it access to your Lightning wallet and ask it to do
Yeah.
certain things and move
Yeah.
money around.
Which is
But
cool. I'm still, I guess, just a little bit skeptical of money and AI interacting like that. But that's
I
something
think
we can go into.
there probably is a usability there, but I would say if somebody wants to try it out with small denominations. Really
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
carefully, figure out what works, what doesn't work before
Yeah. There may be
you know.
usability, but I think security is something that's a lot more important in this case, right? Yeah. Anyway, that's something we can talk about on a later episode. This one is focused on the Openclaw setup. So the one thing that I did add is my Obsidian safety rules. So I just said you may read any Obsidian notes that I've provided. You may only edit notes inside the folder called Sandy's Inbox, which again is this folder right here. And then I said, don't change any notes outside Sandy's inbox. Never delete anything from Obsidian, even if it's inside Sandy's inbox. And if cleanup is needed, propose an archive plan and ask me first. So reduce noise, default to 3 to 8 bullets. Don't repeat yourself. If there's nothing useful, stay quiet. Always end plans with next action plus deadline, even if it is today. If Nicki slips, be direct, name the misstep, shrink the task, restarts. These are not things that I told it specifically, but I like those, so I guess I'm going to keep them. User MD, it just has my preferences, I guess. Time zone is
This
AEDT in
is so.
Australia.
Think of it this way, right? If there
Yeah.
is a intern,
Yeah.
and think of Sandy as your intern, identity.md tells Sandy who Sandy is, user.md tells Sandy who Nicki is.
Yeah. Yeah. So what Nicki needs help with again is Orange Peel, College, World News and Events. Got the vibe that I prefer, like it chirpy, like it funny. Default format, concise bullets, again, because that attention span issue. And then when asked for depth, just give me structured and step by step. Got my hard rules for Obsidian in here. Moving on to tools.md, I don't have many tools set up. I just have a few cron jobs. So that's that daily pinging that I like from it. So Obsidian rules, defaults, routines, Orange Peel, primary goals. I'll fill these in. I'll fill in my key links. Maybe I'll probably give it like the X data so I can get some of that outsourced as well, which would be pretty cool. Coursework, it knows my current classes. I've got channels for those inside the actual server itself. Memory, this one I don't think we've updated too much. Looks like, yeah, this is pretty much the
This
same
is
as the other
essentially
stuff.
it's Sandy's long-term memory store. So once you
Yeah,
start doing this, it will remember things from here
yeah,
on. So
yeah.
right now you might notice that it might ask you the same question 2 days
Mm-hmm.
later.
Yeah.
Once this is here, it will stop doing that.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. I guess I can also tell it to lodge things into its memory, which would be pretty cool. This is that heartbeat that Dad said was very, very important. So there are those daily checks, coursework, anything due in the next 7 days. I want to know next action for the most urgent assignment for uni. In terms of Orange Peel, today's shipping target, one concrete deliverable. So is it newsletter day? Is it interview day, solo day, Satoshi Sunday? What's the actual content that is going out today? Blockers, who, what to unblock, and then gym accountability. That's just quick little stuff. News and events, the digest only if it's genuinely significant. So I'll probably go in and I'll edit these a lot further with more detail. I think that would just be very strenuous for you guys to watch. So I don't want to do it while we're actually recording, but I hope this is a helpful kind of introduction of what it might look like to actually go in and set up those MD files for someone who I guess isn't the main person running the server. That's another thing I wanted to point out as well as we were planning this episode. It's that even though my dad runs it and he sits all the way in America, I have access to the same bot just and all of the same subagents that he does sitting in Australia. So it really doesn't matter. It's not like you have to be under the same house or anything, which is pretty cool. That is everything that I wanted to show. So now that we've gone through how to set up your Openclaw, how you use it, how I do it, how things look when you're kind of setting it up differently, I guess. Dad, is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything you think we haven't covered yet? Or do you think this is a good overview of what to do and how to do it?
I think this is a good overview. This should give people an idea. The first, the myth I wanted to bust with this is you do not need a Mac Mini. Don't run to buy a new Mac Mini. Like all Mac Minis, all Mac Studios are sold out. Sure, if you have a powerful machine, you can do a lot more stuff. Granted, right? But you don't need, for a normal human being, when you are just learning, when you're trying to figure things out, you don't need a brand new computer. All you need is any computer that is connected to internet and can stay 24/7 online. That's all it requires.
And that's pretty
And
much any
I,
computer.
yeah, and I have found the tiny PCs, and if you have even if a Raspberry Pi would do it. Right? If you are a single person trying to learn something, don't have a lot of budget, just pick up a Raspberry Pi. Even if you don't have a secondary machine, just pick
Mm-hmm.
up a Raspberry Pi, throw in a version of Linux on it, install Openclaw, add a 128 or 256 gigs of SD card, and off you go. Sure, your site might not be snappy. It would be a little jittery and whatnot. Big deal. Learn
Ours is
first before
jittery.
you start spending money.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's what I built. So that was one. The second thing is, even if anybody wanted, they cannot tell you everything about this. This thing is evolving really fast. I think every day or every other day there is a new feature being released on this. There's a new version that is being pushed out. There are new attack vectors opening up also, right? So you have to figure it out on your own, And as with any new tool, the opportunities are endless. It's all up to your imagination. Like 3 weeks ago, I had no idea what to do with it. And this week, I have a long list of things that I want to do with it, and I don't have just enough time.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool tool. It's just crazy times that we're seeing having access to things like this. I mean, now having used it for 3 weeks, I think I've become so reliant on it for certain things. I'm a bit like, "Wow, how was I functioning before when my calendar was all in 3 different places?" And every single time I wanted to ask a question about my notes, I had to either talk to my Olama, which was directly connected to my Obsidian, but was not a great model, or I had to upload my notes into the Gemini chat and be like, "Okay, these are the lecture slides. Can you answer this question for me?" So very, very cool stuff. But of course, in Bitcoin, we say don't trust, verify. So don't take what my dad and I are saying to heart. Always take everything with a grain of salt and do your own research. This is just a walkthrough of what we've done. I thought that would be really helpful as a part 2 to last week's video. So if you want more information on what AI agents are, how they work, what they're good for, what they're not good for, and just more of our thoughts surrounding that topic, check that video out. Personally, I think it's a great one. Of course, I'm a little biased, but I will say, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It's a little more demo heavy, it's a little more attention requiring. So, this isn't something that I think you can just put on as you're driving or doing something else, which our other ones might have been. But if you guys like some of these demo, like tech walkthroughs let us know, because I promise you when I say my dad has a lot of this. I mean, he has a lot of this. I mean, he's sending me things pretty much every single day and being like, look what I did with Patrick. Look what I did with crabs. And I'm like, okay, dad, this is a lot of building. How do you have this much time on your hands? But yeah, any last thoughts, dad? Or are we ready to wrap this up and see him next week?
Uh, no, I think I would just leave one parting thought. The worst thing you can do in these times is sit on your hands and dismiss AI. Don't do that. Like, however you want to learn it, do things with it. Don't stay in denial. Especially if you have young kids, do it for them.
And if you're a young adult, do it for you. Yeah.
And to be honest,
Okay.
I'm not. I think I said this last time too, or maybe I was talking to somebody else. I'm not worried about Gen Z. You guys will figure it out. The key thing is you guys don't have any baggage of, oh, this is how I have worked for 20 years. I'm more worried about late stage millennials, Gen Xers, who have done things a certain way for 10, 15, 20 years. Now suddenly we are being asked, like, whatever you operated, that doesn't make any sense. Drop it. We're going to do things differently. Like, no, that's how I operate. I have skills, right? The dialogue from the office, right? So it's like, I think that's so I'm more worried about that generation than Gen Z. Gen Z and Gen Alpha, Beta, whatever these generations are, they'll figure it out.
Hmm.
Not too worried. Like, just for
Yeah.
example, like our generation did not struggle with computers. Previous generation did, right? I'm not worried about you guys struggling with AI. Our generation will struggle.
All right. Well, what a closing thought. To the viewers, again, let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments. Your feedback, your critique, your appreciation is always welcomed. And as always, stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay orange peeled. I'm your host, Nikki, and my dad and I will see you on Sunday of next week for Satoshi Sunday number 10.